morning, Hal. Good morning, Ashley.
It's good to see everybody.
Morning.
Ashley, what you got going on? You getting busy again?
I'm sorry?
You getting busy again?
Yeah, just trying to get everything together. My parents are coming Friday for a week, so I'm excited. I haven't seen my mom and my dog since March, so
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Is your let me pause this real quick. Is your
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Good morning, brother? Hey, guys, I know we're gonna get started here. Let me take a second. I believe this is a guy that needs no introduction, but he is our senior vice president, and he is one of the co-founders of GFI, and we're super excited and fortunate to have him visit with us. So welcome, Michael, and thanks for coming to see us, brother.
Awesome, Mark. Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Excellent, thank you.
Really well, thank you.
Excellent.
Mark, how you feeling today?
Born to
Not
win
too bad.
for that
I'm
morning.
feeling okay.
On the mend, right?
Yep, going to the doctor this morning. Gotta look at my port and see if it may need to be changed because it's leaking a little bit. So, and then hopefully talk about getting this joker out here at the end of the month. So, and then go back to the physical therapy tomorrow and see why I don't have much movement still because I really don't have very good movement, but it's getting there. It's just it's annoying. It hurts, but we're better than we were a month ago.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. Awesome, guys. Well, I wanted to see everybody today, say hi. Also wanted to do some Q&A because I know there's a lot of people who are new. It's great to meet everybody. Good to see you, Alma. Nice to meet you, Craig. I don't think we've met yet. Hal, I know we've seen each other on Zoom. Good to meet you. Good to see you again there out in Idaho. Or Utah. I'm sorry, Utah. My bad. Yeah, we just had a bunch of people in Idaho. That's why I said that. But I meant Utah. So good thing I can read lips, right? So but good stuff. So I wanted to start off with just a little Q&A, and then I can go into a little bit more about how to get started and having a successful business here at GFI. Yep. Any questions as we get started? Steve, you're on mute.
I'll ask you a good question. I think go ahead, Stephen, if you're ready. Go ahead. All right, I'll go ahead and ask you a question. I've got to go in. If you could do it all over again, let's go back 15 years.
Yeah.
And somebody said to you, welcome to our business. What would you do differently than you did then?
That's a great question. I got a couple answers to that one, and but that's a really, really good question. I think number one would be I would believe faster. Because I know a lot of times when we're new, this is a new topic, new products, new career, new everything. And I'll tell you a little bit about my belief in the beginning, because there was kind of two different belief systems, or maybe three. There's number one is I just believed in the recruiting part. I believed in that. I wanted to build a company. I didn't want to be an agent. So, I wanted to build an agency, and I knew that from the ground up. So just to give you the context of that, my father sold insurance for 40 years as a agent, and so he had 6 people on staff. He had, paid office rent, had probably maybe 500 plus clients, maybe more. And so he had 6 people servicing his business, and then he was managing some money and had a radio show. But I just saw that, he got injured in an accident over 25 years ago. And I saw that really, really affected his business because he was the business, right? So it wasn't necessarily that I was looking to be in the financial industry, but when I saw the model, 15 years ago, prior company that I was in, I realized I didn't want to be a solo practitioner. Now, I believe that you can go out and make great income in this industry, But one of the things they said in the very beginning to me was sell to survive and recruit to retire. Sell to survive and recruit to retire. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather build a team and build a business. So in my first month, and you guys are welcome to beat the record, but my first month, so I got started in April 2012, and I became a client first. So let me talk about the belief on the products. I believe every human being in America wants to retire, right? I believe everybody in America wants financial security, but we are all, as human beings, a little skeptical or whatever, right, in terms of like how to approach that. But I believe that people wanted to retire. So one of the things that's very, very relevant and true in this business is we build our business on trust and credibility. So write that down, trust and credibility. So especially when we're working in our warm market, we're the trust, right? We're the trust, but we need to bring the credibility to the table. So for example, Ashley, right? Ashley's the trust, her family trusts her, her parents trust her, her uncles trust her, etc. She's Ashley, their niece, or Ashley, their daughter, or whatever, or sister, or whatever it is in the relationship, but she's not credible doing what we do. Okay. So there's trust and credibility. So as the person who's the trusted person, your job is to bring the credibility into the table to help the conversation, to help make something happen, right? And you're transferring that trust onto the person who's got the experience like myself. All right. So I started in April 2012, but I didn't get trained till August. So think about it, like April, May, June, July, August, I made zero money. I actually invested probably about $1,000. I went out to a convention in Las Vegas, right, William? I invested money in it. I hadn't made any money yet. But I just said, you know what, if I'm really going to do this, then I want to really see what this is all about. And so I did that. And then I got trained in August. So when my trainer came back in the day, this is 2012, they flew in from California, and they flew in Sunday around noon, and then they flew out the next Saturday morning. So I had a finite amount of time to get them in front of people, and I got them in front of 150 people in that window of time. And you might ask, like, hey, that's crazy. How'd you do that? Well, I had a barbecue at my house. I had 30 people there. I had rented a Holiday Inn. We did a presentation there. I had 70, 80 people there. And then the rest were one-on-ones from 7 a.m. till midnight. And the script that I used isn't different than what we use. So we have the Ethor script. So I'm excited. I'm in training. I need your help. I value your opinion. I want to show you what I'm doing so you can send me referrals, right? I'm excited. I'm in training. I need your help. I value your opinion. I want to show you what I'm doing so you could send me referrals. So that's literally the script that I used. And that's how people just said, hey, I'll sit down with you. And I must have had lunch like 20 times that week because everybody's like, let's meet for lunch. Let's meet for lunch. So, but through that week of getting trained, I built more belief in what we were doing. But my point is that getting started, if I were to go back all over again, I would have, done the same thing that I did. Is I got in front of as many people as possible as fast as I could. Okay. Now, out of all of those people, a few became clients. 17 people joined our team, and that's what really led to tens of thousands of people being helped. Was that first critical week? Okay. So you got to believe faster, and so there's a couple beliefs that I'll talk about. So number one is I believed that I wanted to have a business that wasn't just based on my own effort. So I didn't know the industry. I didn't say, I want to be in financial services, right? But I believed that that's what I wanted, and I was looking for that. So that fit. Number two belief is the products. I believed everybody wanted to retire. Like I could talk to anybody out there. If I ran into 100 people today, I could probably help with GFI today, with where you guys are at. If you talk to 100 people, you could probably help 95 of them, right? With something that we have. There's something that we have that can improve their situation. Now, are they all going to do something? Probably not, right? But 95 out of 100, I have a solution that can better or improve their situation that they're in. And that's big. But I didn't still fully understand the products for a while, right? It took me a while to really understand. Like I started saving $500 a month into an IUL for myself, $500 for my wife, $100 for each of my kids. I became a client before I got licensed, right? I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to show people like that I have it. Because the worst thing that I could do is get to the table and someone's like, hey, Michael, you're telling me about this thing called an IUL. Like, what do you have? And if I was like, I have nothing, right? That would have probably lost all my credibility. right? So I'm not saying you have to get a $500 a month IUL, but my point is like, we should all have a product. We should all have something, right, that we offer as a company. Why? Because that's what we do. It'd be like going to sell cars and you ride a bicycle, right? Like it'd be like being a mechanic and, you're not a mechanic, right? Or going to get your car fixed by somebody who fixes mopeds or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense. So the reality is there's something for everybody here that we can do that can meet in that price point. I'd say the third belief thing is believing in yourself. And once again, I never dreamed I would be in this industry. It wasn't what I wanted to do when I grew up. Like my father did insurance. Remember I said that? Like this is the last thing on my list that I wanted to do. The absolute last, right? It was not on my radar, not what in fact, him being in the business was always, it was not a negative experience, but I was just like, that looks boring. Why would I want to do that? Right. And it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't quite fully understand the value. So, but I believed in myself and that was the big thing. Like, I believe that, you know what, I can do this. And I'll kind of complement that last thought of believing in myself was that I've had a couple experiences in my life and maybe you guys have as well. And where I overcame something that was bigger than I thought I could overcome. Has everybody kind of had that before? Like you overcame, maybe you started in a career or in a field that you never thought you would be good at, or maybe you did something great. Maybe you have your master's degree and you were the first one to go to college, whatever that is, right? I believed in myself. And then I realized that this is just a numbers game. Like if I could take the personality out of the business and all the emotions and all of the no's and the rejection and everything else, like this is just a numbers game, right? So if I talk to more people, I'm going to get more yeses. It's just a statistical thing, right? And I was talking to Mike about this yesterday, and I think it was a really good conversation. I hope it was for you, Mike, but we were talking and Mike's like, yeah, I made all these calls and haven't got a lot of traction. Well, you're like 2 months into this thing, right? So you got to give yourself some grace. You have to forgive yourself a little bit or forget the past or whatever, like whatever that is that's holding you back. But I realized like if I just run bigger numbers up front, like I will get there faster, right? So if I study the people who are doing the most and doing the best, like what are their habits? What are their activities? Well, in the beginning of the business, my cousin Eric, because we weren't doing Zoom, okay? All my whole business, Hal, for 12 years was all we call inspirational marketing, right? So I would recruit someone, help them become a client, help them build a list of the top 25, top 50, top 100. I would call the list with them, sit down with those people, help them, maybe recruit them, maybe help them become a client, whatever that is. But that's all I did for 12 years, right? No leads. I didn't pay one dime for anything. Like I didn't invest in leads. I didn't like go out there and pay for advertising or internet marketing or funnels, or like it was just all word of mouth. And we helped 34,000 families doing that. So I'm a huge believer in the warm market because yes, your friends and family all see you as whatever you did yesterday, but you're the trust. Remember, you're not the one who's supposed to explain everything to them. And that's where I see a lot of people fail in this business. And I wouldn't say fail, because fail just means first attempt in learning, right? But that's where I see a lot of people get discouraged is they're like, Mom, Dad, like I can roll over your money and I'm a financial person now and it's all tax free and the government doesn't know about it. And like, they're like, you know what I mean? Like it's like they get so excited about what they're doing and then they forget that they're not experienced to do that. Does that make sense? So our business is built through experience, through those interactions, through like your warm market is your practice. Let me ask you a question. Did all of you guys get into business to get wealthy on your friends and family?
Nope.
Nobody, right? That's not why we're here. But Alma, I can say proudly that I'm the oldest of 7. I have 14 nieces and nephews, and every single family member has a policy or a plan with me. I'm proud to say that. But I didn't get rich on my family. I'll tell you that much. Like that's kind of the biggest headache that I have, right? No, just kidding. I love my family. But you know what I mean, Craig? Like I'm not here to I'm here to build something. Like this is bigger than me. So we have to get that in our head. Like here's the deal, straight up. How did we help 34,000 families? How did we help, how did we do so many great things? By the way, those people are still clients. Okay. Well, it's because I literally just checked my ego at the door and I said, whatever I need to do to win, like show me what I have to do. I'm going to follow the instructions. And as sooner or later, like once again, you're the trust, the trainer's the credibility. But let's say you build a team. So let's say, William, you bring on Alma and you and Alma are friends, right? Well, Alma is going to be like, well, I'm not listening to William. He's in pharmaceutical sales, right? He's a musician, right? Well, guess what? Then Alma brings on Craig. Okay. And then wait a second. Now William is becoming the credibility now because he doesn't have that relationship with Craig, right? He can help, he can actually be he can get trained to be the guy to help with that. And he becomes the credibility now. Alma becomes the trust. Does that make sense, everybody? So the reality is that I realized I wanted to grow a business. I wanted to grow a team. This is a team effort. Our whole industry is based on recruiting, by the way. Health, like how many of you get a message every day about a certain company trying to recruit you? Like everybody does. So we have to kind of get that personality and ego out to the side. Is like, all right, I want to build a big team. And this is how I look at my business is I sell to people who want to buy and I recruit people who want to be recruited. I sell to people who want to buy and I recruit people who want to be recruited. By the way, I'm not selling anything. I know it sounds weird to say that. I'm not selling anything, Ashley. I'm sharing. Why? Because I have all these products. Like I just set up an IUL with Allianz where my wife and I are putting away $50,000 a year each. I have that. It's getting issued this week. I can share what I have with people, right? I'm not selling anything. Hey, here's what I have. Here's the problem that it's solving for me. And you might have similar problems that we can solve too. I have living benefits. I have 3 living benefits policies, right? That pay out if you're alive, if you have cancer, stroke, heart attack, right? Well, guess what? I'm not selling that to somebody. I already have it. I'm just sharing what I have. So I think we have to really dig in and there's a point in your business where you're going to help somebody and this business is going to go from your head to your heart, right? And when that happens, that's when it changes. Right now I can see it's in your head and that's okay. It was in my head too for a while in the beginning, but when it goes to your head, your heart, like, man, I really help people. What I realized is that gave me a lot of freedom. Now I just don't care. Like I care about people. I care about doing the right thing and I care about helping them. But if they say no, I'm disconnecting myself from that no. Does that make sense, everybody? So your warm market is the best place to practice. It's the best place to get the word out. By the way, does everybody know what you do yet? Okay. Well, last week I was with Tony. This last week, it was actually Monday, I believe, where we're helping a new business partner that he has. And she's like, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. And I'm like, how do you in your 40s and you don't know anybody? But okay, right. We'll just go with it. Well, then over the weekend, she's like, I can't meet on Monday. My best friend had a stroke.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my God, I'm not saying that we could have helped that person. I'm not saying that we would have changed, we could have, but that person's life is now forever changed. And we had a solution that we could have been in front of for them. Does that make sense, everybody? We really change people's lives. There's 3 things that we do fundamentally. We help people have income if they live too long. They need their money to last the rest of their life. The biggest fear every single retiree sitting down with me has on a daily basis is I'm going to run out of money or I'm not going to have enough and I have to go back to work or I have to move in with my kids or ask for help or eat ramen noodles every day. I'm dead serious, right? So we help people have income if they live too long, if they die too soon. I have a camp out group that I do with my kids. It's a bunch of 40-year-old dads, 50-year-old dads, 30 to 50, right? That range. Our daughters are anywhere from 5 to 13. 2 dads just died this last 2 weeks. One of them I didn't really know, but I knew him, but I didn't really know him. The other one was in my tribe. The other guy was part of my group. And he passed away. He had a heart. He was dancing in New York with his friends at a bar, and then he just fell on the floor and died. And guess what? There's a GoFundMe. Now, these are dads that are doing financially probably better than most, because it's kind of expensive to do these campouts, $1,000 a weekend, right? And we do 2 a year. So not everybody can do this. So you would think this guy has it taken care of. Well, apparently he doesn't, because there's a GoFundMe account set up. And that kind of weighs on me, not saying that I could have been their savior. It's not an ego thing. It's man, we did have a conversation about this. We did talk about it. and I didn't follow up with the guy. If he had said no, that's okay. Do you guys realize it's okay if somebody says no? Because you just need one yes. You need a yes a week and you're good. So I'm just kind of sharing from my heart, guys. Like, this is the best business model in the world. And let me tell you all why this GFI is the best business model out of anybody else in the industry, period. I'm going to tell you exactly why. There's a couple of reasons. Number one is that when we left our prior company, I don't know if you know this, Suzanne, I don't know if you know this, Steve Heron, but when we left our prior company, my cousin, our CEO, we were doing $330 million a year in net commissions, $330 million at a 90% retention rate. Mark, at your prior company, what was the retention rate you guys had for clients, do you think? What would be your guess?
Well, it wouldn't be a guess. It would be 72.
72. So we were doing $330 million, Craig, at a 90% retention rate. It means 9 out of 10 clients were keeping the policies. That's a big deal. So why do I believe in what we do? Because we got a track record. We have experience. Okay, number one. Number two is that we have selfless leadership. You might not know any of these people. Mark got to meet Eric. William got to meet Eric. I'm glad you guys did, right? Anthony got to meet, Tony got to meet RJ when we were in Nashville for a little while. Suzanne's got to meet some of these people. But our leadership, when they started GFI, they said the number one priority is that we have ownership for our people. Okay, number one priority. Well, how do we do that? Well, we got to become a broker. That means we got to get to EMD as fast as possible. I'll get back to that in a minute. But executive marketing director, we need to build a business. Okay, so at our prior company, I built a $12 million business. I'm making $1.2 million a year personal income. And they sent me an email one day that said, we changed the ownership rules. They're subject to change at any time. You don't have any more ownership. How would that make you feel after 12 years of blood, sweat, and tears and like everything, right? We were upset. So we knew that we needed to right that wrong. So when you become an executive marketing director here, if the good Lord passes, if you pass away, your income stream goes to your family. Now, here's the thing. Most people have a job and they pay the position, not the person. You guys catch that? They pay the position, not the person. Okay? So most people work just hard enough so they don't get fired. True, right? And most people, they work just hard enough so they don't get fired, and they pay you just enough so you don't quit. So here you can have an unlimited income. And I want to tell you the number one thing, and this is no joke, if you want to get to the top, if you want to, whatever that means to you, by the way, we're here to help you get to where you want to go, not where I want you to go, right? Not where I think you should go. I want to help you get to wherever you want to go, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. Okay. And here's the thing is that the number one realization that I had, and people kept telling me this and I blew them off. They're like, Michael, if you want to increase your income, like where you are to another level, like you got to personally develop yourself. Do you guys see all these books behind me? That's just one bookshelf. Like that's all personal development. It's mindset, mental toughness, leadership, sales skills. Like I read like crazy. I listen to audios and videos every day. I do about 30 minutes of personal development every day. I have an app where I do my prayer time every day. Like I have like all of that dialed in, but the number one way to get to where you want to go is personal development. Okay. Like you got to work on yourself. Like where you are today is where you put yourself today. Where you want to go could be different, but you got to grow in a different way. Okay. So in the end of the day, guys, you know, this is an incredible business. So once again, we gave that opportunity for people to have ownership as a broker. Number two. Number three is we have a thing called the inner circle. So we wanted to create the NVIDIA effect in this business. So you could be a producer, you could be a builder, you could be whatever you want to be. We have a hybrid model, but the top 1,000 earners in the company, when we get to the point where we do sell or go public, whatever happens, and we've had 13 offers at least that I know of. And one of the offers recently was over $1 billion. So we've had 13 offers. We're only 2.5 years in business. Okay. So if you're in that top 1,000 earners, you can get a check when that happens. So let me ask you a question. If you knew in the next 4 to 5 years, you had to bust it, like you're working 15 hours a day, and I'm not selling the dream here, I know that, but just hear me out, right? You worked as hard as you could for the next 15 years, or next, excuse me, the next 5 years, excuse me. But then the next 50 years of your life, you could take off and do whatever you want to do. Like that to me would be very appealing, because most people, like my parents, are not retired. I mean, they're retired, but they're broke in their mid 70s. My in-laws are broke in their mid 70s, and both of them did all the right things. Like they made good money, they had a good career. My father-in-law's company went public, he became a multimillionaire, but they lost it all. My dad had a successful business, then he lost it all. So they did all the right things, but I don't want to be in my 60s and 70s being like, man, I had this opportunity and I didn't put it all on the field. So in the top 1,000 earners, we have a guy named Ken Ring. Ken started with me it's been less than a year. He's at 400,000 in income now. And Ken's check, if we were to sell tomorrow, would be $4 to $5 million. It's based on your income. Okay. Like not a bad deal. Good thing we have more time so we can keep growing. And then the senior partner level is somebody who really wants to build it big. So when I'm recruiting, this is not Amway, guys. This is not Mary Kay. This isn't the other MLM your friends are like, you know what I mean? The juicy juice and the magic pills that cure cancer. This is not one of those things. Let me tell you that. Like, think about it. I make zero money when someone comes on board. They have to become a client, or they don't have to, but they should. We're helping protect their family. They have to get a license. I have to train them. I'm spending all these hours of time, like 10 o'clock at night, helping them. Weekends, Sunday afternoons, right? Like we're investing a lot into people, and they might not decide to keep going for whatever reason, right? But the reality is that everybody here has a shot. And I just realized in my mind, I was like, well, I don't have anything else giving me that same shot, so I'm going to put it all in here. And if it makes, like, my kids are still on vacation in Michigan, my wife's still there, they're hanging out on a beautiful cabin in northern Michigan. I spent 8 days there myself before, and I came home early. But I'm like, I'm okay with that, because like we have goals and dreams, and I want to help my family get there, right? So the senior partner is somebody who wants to build a big business. And here's the formula for senior partner, is that you need to have a $10 million business. I've already done that. I can show you how to do that. Okay. You have 10 brokers that you promote, and a $10 million business is 500 agents all doing one policy a month for $139. So let me ask you a question. Can you get 10 people to do a policy for $139 a month? Can you get 20 people? Like, that's just one. Okay. And we have business that's much, much bigger than that, right? That's like the lowest common denominator. But the reality is that if you had the vision to build a team, I was always talking about where I was going. So when I was brand new in business, I know this is a long answer, Mark, to your question, but I'm kind of giving all the color here. When I started in business, I wasn't talking about where I am. Hey, Mark, I'm brand new. I'm just getting started. You know, I don't know anything about this stuff. Like, I wasn't talking like that. I was like, hey, Mark, with everything we have going, we're going to replace our income by the end of the year. We're going to open up 10 locations, because at that point I was opening up physical locations. So I would train somebody, Mark Henryon. I would go up to Alabama. I would train you to help cash flow and run your own office. You go sign the lease. You're responsible for it. And then I support you doing that. Like, that was my model. I had 22 locations at one point, right? And so, but now it's all on Zoom. Like, we can Zoom and boom, we can do this part-time. My little sister-in-law is making like 5,000 to 10,000 a month. And she's like working 10 hours a week. She replaced her income as a teacher. So as a senior partner, somebody who wants to build it big, I was talking about where I was going. Hey, with everything we have going, we're going to have 100 licensed agents by the end of the year. With everything we have going, we're going to be at this part. With everything we have going, at that point, I was talking about taking over Florida, because there was nobody in Florida at the time. So like, we're taking over Florida. Who's with me? Let's go. And everybody's like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about, but it sounds awesome, right? So I was talking about where I was going in the vision. So let me ask you a question. if you were to articulate where you were going, would people want to follow you? Right? Because what I would do, Steve Heron, is I would be like, I would talk this big, right? But I backed it up. I backed it up with the effort. But if I started here, if I said, hey, Mark, or hey, Steve Heron, do you want to make a couple of $1,000s a month? And I started there and I said, and then we're going to be millionaires. You'd be like, what? But if I said, hey, Steve, you could set your family financially free. You know, you could be making, 7 figures in income. And then Mark's like, no, and then, Steve's like, nah, I kind of want to just make a couple $1,000s a month. Well, I could always go back down to that. But the reason why I was talking big is I went and I put in the effort. That was the belief that I have, like, man, everybody in America wants to retire. Everybody wants financial security. No one knows how to get there. I can educate them. I can help people who want to be helped. I recruit people who want to be recruited. I'm looking to build a family. I'm looking to build a team. I'm looking to build, camaraderie. We're looking to build a brotherhood, a sisterhood. We're in it together. We're going to help each other out. We're going to work together. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was selling the vision on. And everybody's like, man, I want to do that. I don't have that at my job. I don't have that in my family. Like, people are looking for community. As human beings, inherently, we're looking to be part of something, a tribe, a community, whatever, right? So I wanted to build an environment that people wanted to be in. And I know I kind of talked way longer than the answer, but that's kind of like how I started. So and this is, I'm sharing this once again. I shared this with Mike and Lane and Carmela the other day. This is not a brag, right? But my belief level was so big when I started in 2012. I quit a job making $300,000 a year, okay, which was the best I'd ever done. My wife's like, you're crazy. Don't burn the bridges. Like, you might need to go back there. Like, that was the best I'd ever. I went from broke 2 years before to making more than I've ever made in my lifetimes, like 3. And then I quit my job. I after about 6 months of part-time, I'd made like $7,000, and I just went all in. And within a 2-year window, we were in the top 100 of that company out of 70,000 people. It wasn't because I was talented. I'm definitely not that smart. I barely got out of college alive and high school alive, right? I wasn't better looking than anybody. Like, I just believed so much that what I was doing, that like people believed because I believed. All right. And then I was able to connect with them in ways where I could build a relationship. People aren't going to quit on their friends. Right. So it's like, I just wanted to build those relationships with my organization, my team. And you know what? A lot, by the way, we won a lot, but because this business, your leadership doesn't win unless you win. Think about that. In your previous job or your current job, that doesn't work that way. Right. But here in this business, nobody wins unless we help you win. Does that make sense? It's crazy. And I know it's weird. And I know sometimes that's a hard thing to comprehend, because you're like, man, I've never had that in my life. I've never experienced that. But anybody who served like Mark, I'd say, Mark, I would dare to say this, that when you served with your brothers and sisters, when you were serving, right, you were Army and Marines, right?
Navy,
Army and Navy. Like, you had a sense of purpose though with those people, that like you got their back and you're in it together, and all. Like, I wanted to create something like that here, and we were able to do that. So now it's your responsibility, because you guys are leaders, to be good stewards of that environment and to help nurture and grow that. Like, if you said, Michael, get out of my way, I got this, I want to run like crazy, awesome. Like, I'm in, right? We're going to help you get there. We're going to do whatever it takes. You're not my subordinate. I'm not your manager. I'm not your boss, right? I'm a mentor. I'm going to help tell you where to go and how to get there, but you got to work on yourself to do that. And I'd say the last thing, Mark, is that this wasn't in the beginning, but this was not too far after that, is that momentum is magic, right? Momentum is magic. So you got to create some momentum in your business. What's momentum? Getting a new business partner, helping a family, making that first paycheck, making your first $1,000, making your first $10,000. Do you guys realize this is an unlimited business, but your momentum is something that's got to carry through every day? There's 3 reasons why people don't make it in this business. And I've been doing this for 15 years. We brought on 30,000 people. Like, I've seen this. I've coached and mentored. I used to fly around the country and speak to about 20,000 people a year for a couple of years. The number one reason why people quit, and this is no particular order, is mental toughness. They're not tough. The littlest thing happens, and then they're like, oh, I have to pay my Teva fee, or guys realize like we have the best technology platform in the industry, and if you were to go invest in these similar technologies on your own, it's $1,000 a month easy without even batting an eye, right? And we get that as part of our package, but they're not mentally tough. Like a chargeback happens, the family member says no, their dog gets stuck in a tree, whatever happens, like now they're not mentally tough, right? Number two is consistency. Every day you got to show up. So when I started in business, my cousin said, my cousin, by the way, made $1 million by the time he was making $1 million a year by the time he was 25. Personal income. Okay. Said, how did you make $1 million a year by the age you're 25? He goes, 5-5-50, 5-5-50, 5 appointments a day, I prospect 5 people a day, and I'd make 50 calls. So consistency is like, what is your daily report card for yourself? I made 7 calls today. Well, this isn't going to work. Sorry. I'm just being straight up. Like, you got to make a lot of calls. You have to have some inventory. Either it's your warm market, or you're buying leads, or you're meeting people. Got to be one of those things, right? But 5-5-50, you got to start. So you don't start at 5-5-50, guys, right? You might start at, hey, I'm going to get 1 appointment a day. That's my goal. 1 appointment a day, 1 appointment a day. Well, great. Get that, and then get to 2, right? Then get to 3. You might say, the things that you can control, if you dial 50 people a day, right? That's something you can control, because you just got to find the people to dial. And we can help you develop that list of how to do that. And you're not expected to do it on your own either. We can guide you through that. We can help you with that. Okay. But you got to be consistent every day, right? If this business can pay you millions of dollars, right? Like, if you can be completely free forever, like, you got to be consistent. You got to show up. Okay. And then the last thing is coachable. Like, a lot of people come in here and they're like, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way. I'm like, I used to be like, why are you doing that, Craig? You're an idiot. Like, no offense. You're not an idiot. Right. But you're like, but I'd be like, Craig would be like, I'm going to put an ad in a motorcycle magazine. I literally had somebody say this, and I'm like, really? It was like $3 or $4 grand. And I was like, I was like, part of me is like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And I was going to say that. And I was like, you know what? Probably not a good leadership skill. Right. So I held back, but I was like, all right, great. Why don't you try that out and see what happens? Well, it didn't work. But my point is that coachability means following your leadership at the speed of instruction, like being in alignment. Do you guys know how geese fly in this formation? Right? It's called alignment. So when you understand and you're in alignment with the way you're, like, we're doing things the same way. Why? Because McDonald's does it the same way, because that's how you duplicate. That's how you multiply. They say simplify to multiply. So if I made things overcomplicated, no one knows how to do it. But if I can simplify it and everybody can follow the process, what it does is it takes the personality out of the business. Like, I've seen people I had this lady at a convention one year. She's from China. This is her speech. When I come to America, and it was way more broken up than this. When I come to America, I speak no English, and it's my problem. Now I make $1 million a year, and it's your problem. And I was like, dang. And all she sold was to Chinese people. Like, there was a guy at one of our conventions who literally was an engineer in San Francisco, scared to talk to anybody, but he rode the train every day until he met 10 people. And one of those people he met, they did a policy where he made $1 million in one paycheck. So one of the books I would highly recommend that everybody reads, like, today, order it today, because it's not, because here's something about GFI, guys. We talk about the 5 F's: faith, family, finance, fitness, fun. That's not what we say. It's who we are. That's part of us. But my view on the business is that if Alma finds something that's better for her life, and it's not here and it's something else, then her interaction here made her a better version of herself. Any interaction she had with us made her better. And if that's the case, like, we won. Doesn't matter about how many people she recruits or how many policies she does, right? You guys know what I'm saying? Like, build an environment where it's a winning environment, and we can help people win there. So I know I went a little off track, Mark. That was a long answer. I know there's a lot. I'm fired up. You guys can tell. But you gotta get that activity, guys. Like, you gotta figure out, like, all right, I'm gonna commit to this every day, not for me, not for Mark, not for your upline. It's like, I'm gonna commit to this because this is what it's gonna do to help me learn faster, right? And this is just a numbers game business. So if you've never been in sales, like, sometimes it's a little harder to comprehend, but you call 100 people a day, you're probably gonna have 5 to 10 conversations. You're probably gonna help 2 to 3 people. When you're beginning, it might take a little bit longer to get there because you don't know what to say, but as you practice, it's gonna get better and better and better and better. Don't ask me a question that's going to take 40 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. The name of the book is Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Order that today. That's should be the fundamental thing about life. It's basically the first personal development book, probably one of the first ones ever written besides the Bible. It's probably 100 years old almost. But Napoleon Hill studied all the wealthiest people in the world and then wrote a book about it. And that was in the 30s, I think. So it has a lot of things, like all of the success books today, a lot of them are mirroring or complementing the concepts in that book. And the number one thing in there is that I would say is like having that burning desire to win, right? You guys can tell, like, I probably think you feel my energy through the Zoom here, but we have a burning desire to win. Like, we just want to win. Right? And we want to help other people win. My joy comes from helping other people win, but we have a burning desire to win. So I'm looking for people who have that burning desire to win. Like, they have that heart of a champion. They want to go out there and do something big. They want to change their life forever. Like, that's what GFI is built on. Like, you can change your entire life. It might suck right now. It's going to be very awkward in the beginning. These are the 3 phases you're going to go through: awkward, mechanical, natural. Right? Just like when you dated your spouse or significant other, like, it was awkward at first, then it was a little mechanical, and then it became very natural, right? And hopefully you still do date nights even when it's natural, right? But you know what I'm saying? That's the way your business is going to be when you start. So you got to get through those phases fast.
That was awesome, man. Thank you.
Awesome.
If I literally could just open up my brain and just dump it on you guys, and like, you would go and get it, like, you got to find a way to win. Like, you really have to, like, I'm broke. All right. Well, you found a way to go broke. Now find a way to win. Right? my significant, it's like, whatever it is. And the money isn't everything. That's not at all what I'm saying, but it definitely solves a lot of problems. It definitely gives you options, but you got to find a way to win. Like, I've had people, like, sell their cars so they could go to a convention, right? I had a guy who literally flew out to a convention with me without a plane ticket home because he's like, I just want to win. And then he figured out how to get home, and that was great. But you got to have that, like, you've done it before. I guarantee you that. You've all done this before. At one point in your life, you found a way to make something happen. Like, I don't want this to sound derogatory, but if a crackhead can find a way to get high every day, you can find a way to win, right? They just have a bigger desire than you do. I know it sounds kind of silly and funny, but it's like true, isn't it? Like, addicted people will find a way to get what they need. Well, you got to find a way that you're going to win. And I think a great way to start is you got to start being creative. Like, as entrepreneurs, we create markets, we create opportunities, So let me give you some ideas on how to get started, and we can, this last 10 minutes. So number one is that everybody here should build a list, right? And don't think about what they're going to say, what they're going to do. If you put me in front of them, my number one job is to make them like you still and put a best representation about what we do. I've never had anybody kick me out of their home. I've never had anybody like yell at me or anything, like never had I've never had a complaint, and I have 1,000 clients. Never one complaint in my entire career. Okay. And I'm FINRA licensed, and I was, so like, people actually like that. That's a big deal. So my point is that your number one job is to get this in front of as many people as possible. because you want to share what you're doing. It's almost like you're doing your commercial. You're sharing what you're doing. That's it. Hey, I just want you to see what I'm doing. I want to get your opinion. Maybe you can send me some referrals. That's it. You don't need to explain anything to them. Let us do the explaining. So at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, we have a company overview, and you can invite somebody there and they can see what we're doing. Okay. So that's number one. The warm market, I would say, and lukewarm market is whatever. Like, just get it in front of people. Like, I'm talking to people that I went to high school with about this. Like, I haven't talked to them in 20 years, but I'm still talking to them, right? I have social media, I have LinkedIn, I have my phone. Like, I went through all of it. I'm like, I'm going to talk to everybody that I know. And almost everybody I know knows what I do. Okay. I also got a card today. I was at the gas station right before I got here. This guy here, I got this card. He fixes dents. I had a little scratch in my rim, and I was like, hey man, you got a card? His name's Tony. His wife has breast cancer. He has a daughter. Like, I got to know him. I made a friend with him. Now I have his number. Now I'm going to call him and tell him what we do. Hey, you're an entrepreneur, so am I. Let me show you what I'm doing and how I help entrepreneurs like you have income replacement plans. So number one is your warm market. Number two is prospecting, right? Are you prospecting? I talk to everybody. If they have a name tag on, I talk to them. Hey, are you in, like, if someone's wearing a suit and tie and I'm at Publix, I'm like, hey, are you in banking? Right? I'll just ask a question. You know, one of the guys in line I met, he's an attorney. He does estate planning, by the way, too, which is kind of cool. But he was buying organic food. I was buying some organic food. I'm like, hey, man, like, tell me about that, right? And we talked, and I got his number. If someone has a name tag on, I talk to them. If they're in real estate, I talk to them. Mortgages, like, I'm always talking to people, and I just want to get their number. But I'm not focused on telling them what I do. I'm focused on making a friend and find something in common. Okay. Number three is your natural market. So what's your natural market? So your natural market could be, if you're in real estate agents, mortgages, mortgage brokers. If you're a nurse, it could be nurses. If you worked in pharmaceuticals, it's pharmaceutical reps. If you were in the military, people who were served in the Army and the Navy. Like, that's called a natural market. Why? Because you have something relatable already you can talk to them about. Okay. If they're into fitness and you're into fitness, right? Like, that's called a natural market. So I'm always looking for people that are in a natural market. So for example, if I pulled up a real estate card, I was in real estate for like 5 minutes, you know, a long time ago, I'll get their card and I'll call them. Hey, let me show you what I'm doing. Let me show you how I help people stay in their home, right? You're helping people get in their home. I help them stay in their home. Maybe we can help each other out. Okay. This is actually gold, but if I ever went to like a Starbucks or a coffee shop and there's name tags like posted on the bulletin board, I'm taking all the ones off that are like any type of sales related or whatever. And I'm calling them and I said, hey, Craig, you put your card at Starbucks on Main Street. You probably put it there because you wanted someone to call you, right? Guess what? It worked. Ha ha ha. When can we hop on a Zoom really quick? I can imagine, Craig, you're looking to expand your business and meet new people, and so am I. When can we hop on a quick Zoom for 15 minutes and see how we can help each other out? I'm going to learn what he does, and then I'm going to share a little bit about what I do, and then I'm going to ask him, would you be open to seeing how we could help you out? Would you be open to seeing how we could work together? And through that, I'm really more interested in them than I am in myself than saying what I do, but I'm trying to find those places that I can have that opening. The next one is leads. You know, most lead people, I mean, 80% of our industry uses leads. You got to make an investment in that, probably 500 to 1,000 a week. Why? Because you need to keep adding new inventory. Now we have leads that are $9 on the website, right? We're getting other lead vendors right now, but you can't just buy it once and then never buy them again. You got to be making that investment in it. You know, I'm not saying that you need to do this, and I'm not saying you don't need to do this, but the reality is this: when I left my job, I had a little 401k, and I was like, you know what? I know there's taxes and penalties if I pull money out, but I'm gonna invest in myself. Like, I want to invest in me, right? So I knew that if I did that, now listen, don't do that if you don't believe in yourself or believe in what we're doing. Don't do that. Okay. But I was like, you know what? If anything happens and I need some money, if I have a slow month, like, I'm going to make sure that I have something that I can invest in to keep my business going. right? And so I just knew that, hey, well, I'm going to do whatever it takes. You know, a lot of my business that I have has been self-generated because I meet people. I go to like I'd say another good idea is like go to a networking event or two a week. There's something in your city where you can just meet people. Once again, know how to share a little bit about what you do, but I would be more talking about them and their family and what they do, and like, you know what I mean? Like be interested, not interesting, right? I want to learn more about them. And then, hey, by the way, have you put something together for your kids' college? No? Awesome. Hey, we should talk about that. And then I kind of take it away and I move on to the next person, right? So networking events can be great places to meet people as well. So you got to be creative. I'll share one last story on that. So when I was at my last job, I was selling IT consulting. And when I started, they gave me a list of 100 people and they were pretty garbage, right? And what I did is I sat there on LinkedIn every night and I looked at the people who were in different IT roles. And I just gathered that information and I had a list of like 4,000 to 5,000 people when I left 2.5 years later. And I cold called them because I knew what I had a value for them. And I just wanted to have a conversation. I did email campaigns and all this stuff, but I self-generated that list. And that was just kind of the position I was in at the time. So once again, where there's a will, there's a way. So if you're coming into this being like, man, I don't have two nickels to rub together, or I got to go search the couch cushions. Like I've been there myself, so I know what it's like. Trust me, it's not fun, but you got to think of like, all right, what am I going to do to change that? Like, what am I going to do? There's so many ways. Like you guys could Google a list of everybody that works for Globe Life in your area and call them. You know what I mean? It's not hard. If you're a mechanic, you can call the mechanics in town. Hey, I was a mechanic this is what I said to Mike yesterday, Mike Hagan. He was in law enforcement for over 24 years. So what I would do if I were you is like, hey, I would call people that were in law enforcement and maybe people he worked with. I'd be like, hey, you know how I was in law enforcement for 24 years? Or hey, I was in law enforcement just like you for 24 years. And I transitioned to the financial industry. And the reason I did that is because a lot of the people I worked with, including myself, weren't getting the proper education on finances and money. And I'm there to help my community now. Would you be open to seeing what I can do? Okay, if I was William, I would say, hey, I was a musician for the last 30 years, right? And I realized as a musician, I had a passion for that, but it wasn't going to necessarily help me with my 3 kids and my wife, pay the bills I wanted to. So I started in the financial industry so I could help musicians be financially secure in their field. Would you be open to learning more about that? If I was Mark, I would talk to everybody who served. Hey man, I served too. Thank you for your service. Most people, when they leave the military, they don't have the financial education. They're looking for a new career. I help place people in a career in the financial industry. Would you be open to learning more? Or even better, who do you know that's looking for a career change? Who do you know that just got a new job? Who do you know that just had a child? Does that make sense? Like, so you got to get creative here. But every day I was making sure I was having at least 10 to 20 conversations and calling at least 50 people. And some say yes and some say no. That's okay. Right? But I knew that if I did enough of those activities, we could get to where we wanted to go.
It's 8 hours.
So I do have an appointment coming up here, guys. Any last questions?
Michael, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. This was awesome, man. Thank you so much. A lot of good takeaways here. Thank you.
And all we want to do is help you guys. Like everybody starts in the same place. It's okay, right? But if you really want to make a big move, I would be like, all right, what's my plan? What's my plan of attack? What's my daily activities look like? What am I going to be doing? And let's put that together. That might be another exercise, Mark, that we do in here is just collectively, like, let's build that out. But I want you to be thinking about all the different markets that you have. And believe it or not, you probably know way more people than you're thinking about, where you have way more people that you can talk to than you're thinking about. And we can help find that way. So thank you guys. I got to jump into my next meeting. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Hey guys, I'm going to start a phone zone in here. If anybody wants to dial with me, give me about 5 minutes. I got to refresh my coffee, and then we can start, smiling and dialing. All right. I'll be in here doing that. I've got interviews, I think, later today. Got a full day. So please stop in and let's let's have a great day. All right. Peace.